I want to say this, a lot of people know about keeping spare gasoline and diesel fuel on hand. Actually, I got about 700 gallons of diesel and a bunch of cans of gas. But keep a lot of motor oil on hand, and you don't need to get expensive stuff. You might want to get straight 30 weight, some pretty good stuff. I got big gallon, containers back there, Shell Rotella, Mobil 1. Those not gallon, those are 5-gallon jobbers. Also keep Marvel Mystery Oil, gallon container there, another gallon container there, and also Mobil 1, which I'll keep that on hand because of the mini mill, but also for the mini mill, I'll show you what else I keep on hand. I keep some transmission fluid too, and I like using the ATF4, which is the Chrysler stuff, because it's synthetic. It's good milling oil. You want to keep some of that stuff on hand because, if you got to use your milling machine, you got to have oil, right? Or else you're not going to be cutting into metal too good. And this is my little cheap mini mill. Works pretty good, man. It's not too bad. Just that, if you want it, and I keep a lot of those extra bits on hand too, man. The end mill bits. But you can use it for a drill press, and I usually use transmission fluid when I'm milling. So you want to have a lot of that stuff on hand. You don't want to, if you're a prepper and you're just missing one stupid thing like that, don't forget about keeping lots of oil around, not just diesel fuel and gasoline, but actual motor oil. And I got some more in here. That's just 1030. It's antifreeze. That's a big 5-gallon jobber. And we got another 5-gallon jobber in this one too. So that one's full too. It's just laying on the side. And we got some right here. I think that's antifreeze. But I probably got, in gallons in motor oil, I got like 4 or 5-gallon motor oil containers plus maybe another 10-gallon containers. So I got about 30 gallons, which means I got about 120 quarts on hand. Most people won't do that, but that's what I do. Because what are you going to do? You're going to say you can't get the stuff. What are you going to do? It's not like you use motor oil just to change the oil. You use it for a lot of other functions. But if you got a problem with something, sometimes even the hydraulic fluid, I got a big 5-gallon thing of hydraulic fuel fluid for the jacks, and I also got AT205 reseal, which that comes in handy if you ever have a transmission leak. A lot of times it works. I found out it worked pretty damn good. Also, if you got a leak on a hydraulic jack, you won't have one on this one. It's brand new transmission jack. That'll reseal it. So that's another type of oil I have on hand too. Which is the jack oil, which the hydraulic oil. You want to keep a lot of that stuff on hand, man, because if you ever have a problem, it sounds stupid, most of the time you don't need it, but if you don't have it, you're not going to be able to run that engine if, it gets low on oil and you don't have anything else to add into it. So sometimes you run into these problems. And also under extended use, say you're using your generator a lot, you might want to change that oil a lot. The diesel wouldn't be so much of a problem, but say I was using the gas one also for something else, to keep my engine freaking going. I know I got a Vanguard motor in this gas generator. It's not a bad one. It's and also I keep the spark plugs on hand too. So extra. Of course, that's my braking oil. I'm going to be doing my camshaft here on the El Camino here pretty soon. But it's been right now. It's got a nice break in the weather, but I got to do something today. But it's been pouring out, so I didn't have a chance to do the other camshaft. But that's more oil I got too. But you got to keep all this stuff on hand. Also, even the 2-cycle oil, loads of that stuff, synthetic right there, regular. And there's more 2-cycle oil, and also I even have Harley Davidson oil in a 5-gallon pail. Here I got some straight 50 weight Harley Davidson oil. I don't know what the hell many gallons is that thing is. It's more than 5 gallons, man. And you know, I put it in this thing if you ever need it. You know, the custom bumper sticker. See that? So that's more oil I got too. So yeah, you got to keep these supplies on hand, man. I keep that over it just because if it gets a little wet in here, you know, I don't ever think it would get wet inside the oil, but that's just a double make sure. Hey, by the way, I already figured out, since this channel has the word survival in it, it's probably going to be one of those channels that's going to be, you know, pushed down. I'm not really pushing this channel, but I just throw some tips in here once in a while. It's kind of like it's an offshoot of my other channel. But yeah, sometimes I throw some good tips in here, but I know because I have that word survival in there. That's one of their words they don't like. Even though, because I know enough not to put any kind of videos out about field dressing animals or anything like that, fish even or something, because you know YouTube's going to be with that stuff. But you know, even I'm not changing the name. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm just leaving it alone. So I don't think this channel's ever going to go anywhere, but you know, you'll find out. Once in a while I do throw some good stuff out in here, and I don't know, sometimes it's maybe something I already know, maybe something you're forgetting about, and it's just something, because man, I kind of like, the way I think is I do the backup to the backup to the backup. I try to freaking make everything feel safe as possible, because you can only do it beforehand. And it's not like you're spending more money, because you wind up spending the money on the stuff anyway, right? You know, if you stockpile a little bit of things here and there that are essentials. So not just food and water, which we got water right here. Plenty of, you can see how much water I got. Gallons of jugs, 12-gallon jugs and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so it's a wrap. Yeah, you also want to keep some of the used motor oil on hand that you have, like not stockpile too much of it, but sometimes you don't need brand new motor oil for something you might need it for. And you know, if it's, and be quite honest, sometimes if you don't have enough, you can always filter out the used oil, motor oil, put it back in there with a cloth or something. But keep some used motor oil on hand, because you don't want to go into your good stockpile for something that's non-essential. Like say for instance, I had a oil up that you know, jack there on the front or something like that, and I just want to pour some on it to free it up. Hey, use the used junk on it, right? So that's why you want to keep some of that used stuff on hand too. Not a lot of it. Like these are mostly empty. I think I got a couple of these that's got a little bit in there. These two are full. 3 of them. You got 3 full ones here. That's enough.